This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, Joe Castello back with you, WFO. Hopefully you are doing great. And it is the end of the week once again, a little Thursday, Friday action on WFO. We encourage you to share and start a watch party because we are about to hear from the 8-time Mello Yello Top Fuel World Champion, Tony Schumacher, who is going to be making his return to NHRA Mello Yello Drag Racing in Indianapolis in a couple of weeks. Also on the show, Jackie Fricke. Jackie, who has made 3 final rounds in the top alcohol dragster category. Most recently, a victory up there in Epping, New Hampshire. It is going to be great. Couple of things before we bring Tony on. First of all, tomorrow, 4 p.m. at this exact time, Kenny Youngblood is going to be our happy hour guest, the artist that has done so many great things, including the original Black Magic Funny car, did the ZZ Top Eliminator car, amazing things. Kenny Youngblood, one of the great artists. We're going to hang out. We're going to have drinks. We're going to talk about the art. We're going to connect with some of Kenny's friends. It's going to be a great time. So make your plan, set a reminder for happy hour tomorrow. Also, want to remind you guys, we got some sponsors make it possible, talking about Marvin Rodak and Rodak's Coffee and Grills.com, hot sauces and spice rubs and everything great for grilling. If you want an outdoor kitchen, he's right there in Fort Worth, Texas. Go down and see him. If you're somewhere far off, then order a bag of coffee. You will love it. Also, Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. They got their gas-ported pistons, making extra horsepower from a bracket car to stock eliminator to Formula One. You will find Total Seal Piston Rings in the quickest and fastest cars out there. Big thanks to Total Seal for supporting WFO Radio. Also, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Frank and Lana, they got the Dragster Adventure, of course, travels around the country. Super gas, super comp licensing programs, top alcohol dragster funny car. You can get your license at Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Smaller classes, more intimate, social distancing, but they are rolling again. And finally, samtech.edu. In Houston, Texas, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Start your education at full speed. And this is a career. It's not going to be outsourced. They need CNC programmers. They need people to work on cars, build engines, airplanes, etc. And they get their start at samtech.edu. I'm WFO Joe. And don't forget, you can get your WFO gear at nitrofishracing.com and get 20% off with the promo code WFO20. All right, let's bring on our guest who is out there in the world. He is an 8-time, you know his stats. He's got the best stats in the world. Tony Schumacher, welcome back, Tony. How are you?
Oh, it's good to be back, man. Even if it's just for a short little time, but just to get out there and be able to hit the gas again, the top fuel car, pretty awesome.
Well, I think that a couple of races could lead to many more races, like breaking the ice, if you will. I love the strategy of it, the good news of it. Your fans have been bummed. Let's face it. You've got a bunch of fans that you spent all these years cultivating, and they want to root for you, and you're not there. And now they've got some reason to really be invested in these 2 races. I can't think of anything better. So if that's it, that's a good reason.
Well, I think the way I've always looked at it is, one thing can lead to another, and it may, lead to something that lasts a season 2, 5. We have no idea. What I do know is that I've been blessed with 2 races. I want to stay focused on that because hate to leave something on the table because you're so focused on the future, you forget what you have been gifted, and I think really they presented me with 2 races, being at Indianapolis, which has always been our favorite track and by far most successful. And we got a great sponsor on the car. We got a great teammate in Antron Brown, Global Electronics Technologies on the car. And, Steve and Samantha Bryson, they've been doing this forever. They come out and they help someone that's kind of been wanting to get back. And that's what they've done. They've done it with Langdon. They've done it with some other drivers. So I appreciate what they've done. I think, we need to show the support for the fans that want me back out there, support as much as you can. And we'll just take one step at a time. My goal is to show up at Indy, qualify well, and win that race.
And the team situation, from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's one of the Antron backup cars, and that Brian Karate is going to tune them both.
Correct. Yeah, those guys, and him and Mark Oswald both, and the crew will build them both. We've been doing this a lot. It's not the first time we've tried to test 2 cars or gone out. I've driven Antron's car. He's driven my Army car. Back in the day, if I had to make an appearance and he was testing, we'd run them. So guys know how to do this. it's not their first rodeo. These guys are excellent at what they do. It's really what led me to the decision because, I've always said I didn't want a one-off race or a two-off race, but being that it's my dad's cars, canopy cars tuned by great crew chiefs, champ guys, and both teammates and Antron and Corey Mack and Leah too, because we're all still the same team. We got a lot of guys working together to make all 4 of those cars get on the racetrack. And, I've always said the ones, if you're going to win one of these races, you're going to have to get through a couple of your teammates. And no matter what happens, when you have 4 cars out there, you got a pretty good chance of running some tough cars.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned Steve and Samantha, their entrance into drag racing a few years ago, a real bright point because to me, they do it right. They really enjoy their time in the sport. They're out there to compete, but they're also out there to, win and have fun. And Steve wears his emotions on his sleeve. When he's happy, when he's bummed, when he's disappointed, he really wants to win. Talk about, how the deal came together. And obviously, you'd love to deliver some success for him.
Well, no doubt about it. I just, I really appreciate the opportunity. So my dad had talked to me a couple of weeks ago, and we said we were looking at getting back at Indy, and actually Indy bringing all the teams back because we're all mostly based out of there. Probably 85% of the teams are based out of Indianapolis. So we said NHRA made the announcement, or was about to, that Indy would be the first 2 back-to-back weekends. And I told my dad, I said, we need a full field. It's live on Fox Network TV. And I said, I would love to come drive. And he said, I've been thinking about that. Really need to have a 4-car top fuel field to make sure there's enough cars running out there. At that point, he said, go out there and solidify some money. And we started working with all the people we've been working with. Antron called me a day or two later, and he said, hey, I have an opportunity. And what do you think about this? And he mentioned Global Electronic Technologies. And I said, yeah, great company, great people. Love to be part of it and wanted to get to know them for a long time. But, it's one of those things you walk softly because Antron had that sponsor. I don't want to look like I'm going out trying to take something because it's not been my way. I've sat out for a year not wanting to do any of that stuff. Look, we got great teams. We got great drivers. They've built relationships with their teammates and with their sponsors. And I'm not the kind of guy to go out there and do something like that. So when it was offered from Antron, and my father was like, here you go. Here's a unique situation. I just jumped at it.
And that's great. And Antron, that's the thing, is that the more you get to know people in these situations, the guy's got a heart of gold. And he knows, like, you as the Army car had all that dominance, and then you expanded the team, and the lessons learned through the Army car were spread throughout Don Schumacher Racing, and he was able to win championships. I think it is great that Antron was able to do that. We've got some of your fans checking in, by the way. Edwin, one of the biggest fans, super excited. He is a veteran out there. Marvin Rodak is out there. Marvin wants to know if you're going to get some test laps, or if the first time you smash the gas, it's going to be an Indy.
No, I'm going to get 2 test laps on Friday, half track. Although, okay, my dad said we're going to go to half track. And, and Corey Mack said it today. So I had to point out, I appreciate that going to half track will be just fine. However, I'm not sure I quite remember where it is. If I get a little further, it ain't my bad. Marvin, I'm gonna have some of that Ethiopian coffee you sent me before. Make sure I'm wide awake for this one.
Yeah, people need to realize that Marvin made you like a special blend or something right before you won your 10th Indy.
He's done a couple different ones for me. He's done an 8X champion blend, and he's done a 800 wins blend. But I love those and order them and enjoy them. But that Ethiopian is my favorite. It's just got a phenomenal taste. So I drink it every day. He makes it. Yeah, he sends it to me, and I'm a big fan. So he does a great job.
So earlier this week, Alan Reinhart and I were celebrating your return and having a conversation about it and talking about the pros and cons of being the Army guy. Like, you wouldn't ever give that back, but being the Army guy for 20 years, you're in a mold almost. And this is really cool because it lets people see you as something other than the buttoned down, Sarge image.
Yeah, we talked about that this morning on the show. I said, you picture Clint Eastwood in the cowboy hat carrying a revolver. It's just Clint Eastwood's a cowboy. And I don't care what movie he plays. I love every movie he's ever done because I love Clint Eastwood. But it's because he was a cowboy, and that's what I know him as. So understand that I can do things here. I'm educated And I spoke with some different sponsors. You know, we were trying to fill up the car, and I said, guys, this is we're an educated group. All my drivers are quality people. We can learn, and this is a sport that really is about we can take a new company and we can build it. And that's what I've been looking for. I've always said I'm not just looking to slap a name on my car. I want a company I can help build. So it's rewarding for me too, because I put a name on a car and go down the racetrack. That's advertising. That's one part of it. But we've been good, you know, with the Army for 19 years. It was about building the Army, solidifying leads, converting them to contracts. We've been very, very good at that. And it's something that as a driver, it's fulfilled me. You know, like been doing this for a long, long time and had a lot of days on the road. So I'm looking for that kind of a partner. And I think we found it right now. We got a good group of people to work with, and we'll see where it goes from there. Again, this is just it's a couple of races, and we're going to go out and we're going to have fun. And I've been in a pressure cooker for 19 years, having to win for the Army. Now I have a new deal. I'm going to go out and try to win for Global Electronic Technologies and see if we can't put one of those Indy trophies. Those Indy trophies sitting on a shelf, they're pretty darn nice. You know, we've had 10 of them, and I don't care if they call this the U.S. Nationals, what they call it. Still a big stadium, an incredible place with massive history, and I'm going to try to win this one for everybody involved.
Well, let's look at the car for those who haven't seen it. It's covering our mugs, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. That is a good looking car, and the canopy part of it, you guys innovated it. It was important to you. You guys really pushed. There was a time where, you know, even still, some don't want to do it. Now we've seen the windscreens get really high, but that came first. Like, I want to drive again, but it's got to be in a canopy car. I respect that, and this will be a canopy car. It's a good-looking car, but I like that just to get back in a car, you weren't willing to cast off something that was important to you.
Well, you know, I've seen some horrific accidents, and I've been involved in a couple myself. I've watched that canopy save Antron a couple times. You know, it's something that when you put that much time into it, and really you put your life in the hands of people that build those things, you learn to trust it. You know, Corey, I mean, he's a great example. He's never driven a canopy car. He drove for us for a long, long time, but he's never been in a canopy. So he called me several times and he said, all right, what's going to be the differences? And every difference is positive. There is just nothing I can say that in any way is hurtful towards that canopy. You know, people say, well, I'm afraid of being on fire. Well, we're not going to experience that. You have fire bottles in that car. That car has a high pressure zone. It keeps the fire out of the car. And it's quiet. You can hear, you can think. It's not brutal on your ears. When you hit the gas on a fuel car, the noises, you know, as you can tell from the outside, when someone's sitting next to you and hits the gas, it's pretty darn loud. So a lot of positive. It's safe. It's ballistic glass. It's the best of everything with the people who developed it. They know what they're doing, and I'm glad that he's going to be. I'm glad every time somebody new gets to go in a canopy car and talk about it.
Well, Krista Baldwin out there, the Greekette, says that the Greek loves the canopy, and there's a perfect example of someone who was in it from the very beginning. If it wasn't good, he would not be able to adapt, and he did, and he has.
Yeah, you can see better out of it, you know. And I think that was a lot of concerns. People get in there and they say, I'm claustrophobic. Well, really, what about funny car drivers? Are they not claustrophobic? It doesn't matter. You know, I mean, our sport is about taking fear and taking some uncomforts and adapting to them and using them to your benefit. So if you were to only get in a top fuel car because it was comfortable, you'd never get in it. The thing's the most uncomfortable thing you could possibly drive, but it's fast and it's cool, and you got to get used to that stuff. And staying alive, you know, it's our number one priority. My dad was very adamant about that when we developed it. He goes, I am about protecting our drivers, and that is, you know, I was the first one to do it, and it took a little while to get used to, not because it's the way it is now, but because at the beginning the glass was thicker, you couldn't see out of it. And it took a long time, but now the cars are about perfect.
That is tremendous. 84 career wins. You mentioned Indy, like, will it count? 10-time Indy wins. This, to me, and I want your take. First of all, Corey Mack coming back. That's great. We're going to reach out to him and try to get him on the show. Fans of Corey Mack. That is a fact. It's like good news, bad news. The Flavor Pack Nationals up in Seattle were just canceled. Those tweets went out. We'll talk about that a little later. That's a bit of a bummer. But these two races, it's more than just a race, a chance. It's a Wally. It's bringing all of drag racing back. Given this COVID-19 coronavirus situation, the season was stopped after 2 races. You know the story, but to go out and show that we can do this, to give a little something to the fans, I think it's going to be I don't want to call it more significant than the U.S. Nationals. That's not true, but it's going to live in its own universe in terms of wins if you can get one of these two.
Well, for sure. I mean, we've been longing for some sports to come back, and NASCAR has done a great job coming back, doing it without fans. We're going to be doing it in a unique way, and we're gonna walk lightly and kind of feel it out. We want to make sure the fans are safe, the drivers, the teams are safe. The list of rules my dad and the legal teams have put together are fantastic to make sure we're all protected, we're safe. The teams are far enough away from each other where we're not crossing over. It's just, we got to do things a little different. It's a little bit different of a situation now. We'll get back to normal, and I hear people say, "Oh, it'll be a new normal." I don't think so. I think we'll be back. We've gotten used to everything in life along the way. We'll be just fine. But right now, we got to adapt, and we'll protect ourselves. We'll go out and get in a canopy car. I mean, the safest place I'm gonna be is tucked in that race car here in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely. The not driving for a year. I like to look for positive spin. People say it all the time about me. Glass is half full. Of course, you don't want that. That's not what we wanted. But there's got to be some sort of positive lesson to take out of it. If nothing else, appreciating the ability to be able to do it. But you were at the track. You were watching things go down. You had your nose in the know. You did the TV show. You got a lot of experience. Did a great job there, by the way, with straightforward information. If you saw someone doing something you didn't think was the appropriate thing at the time, like you gave that knowledge. I enjoyed that. What did you take out of that time that can be beneficial to you when you get back in the seat?
Well, just watching the young kids, how they stage. It's funny how you can watch a whole lot of people stage and pick up their patterns. But, when I was racing, I was worried about what I did. I was focused on how I staged the car, and I didn't really care. And when I get back in the seat, as much stuff as I've learned, I'll forget about it too. But here's one thing I did. I lost a lot of bad habits in a year, and here's a good example. I might get a little better when I golf at the end of the year after golfing, but I sure picked up a lot of bad habits along the way. I've forgotten most of those things that bothered me and I didn't like. I'll get back in a race car and do what I know how to do, and it'll be pretty much natural. It's what I've done a long, long time. Golf, I go out there and play a real good game tomorrow because I haven't played in 6 months, and then I'll get worse because I'll start overthinking things. Right now, I haven't thought about it. Here's the problem with that. Neither is anyone else. They've been off for a bunch of months too. So as much as I thought this could be a good advantage, to get rid of those old bad habits, we had Pomona, we had Phoenix, and all the other drivers have been off. And before that, they had the 3 month off in the season, end of season last year too. So it's been a while for them. It's been a while for me, and we'll get back in there and put boxing gloves on and do our job.
I think that's going to be interesting to watch. I was speaking with Brian Loans the other day, and with this crazy schedule, notwithstanding the race in Seattle, but no countdown this year, just every round counts for the championship. Whoever is the champ at the end of this year, it will be a very meaningful championship. And we were trying to decide which of the energies will be more powerful. The I want to win this championship energy, or the we're so happy to be back racing period energy, and the conflict between those two.
Well, I think they're both important. I mean, winning through adversity, which we've clearly had, is an important thing. The races are going to change. We really don't know how many we're going to have. Things are going up and things are going down. We saw it today. We lost one race. Are they going to add something? Are they going to change it? What's going to be manipulated? We're going to have to roll with it. I have 100 plus employees on the DSR team that have 21 semis, and they have to move them down the road. They're good at what they do. And in the Army, we always used to say, be educated so you can adapt. That's what we are. We're a great team full of educated, smart people that can adapt to a situation, because you just don't know what they are right now. So we'll pull in, hire great people, let them do their jobs and win championships. At the end of the year, someone's going to be a champ, no matter how they word it and how they say it. Enjoy that moment. If you're the one that wins it, that's a great trophy.
When you were sitting out, did you consider that maybe I won't make it back? Maybe this was it. Maybe that's a career. And boy, what a great career it was. Maybe I'll go do something else. I just watched Ford versus Ferrari. Ken Miles was like, that's it, I'm done. And his wife was like, no, man, you got to get back in there. Did that thought cross your mind? Did you wrestle with that?
Yeah, I did. If it was, I've had such a blessed life in the racing world. And, So be it. Let some kids grow up, get to do what I did. Hope I paved a nice way for them at some level, like John Force and Big Daddy and Shirley all did for us. And, I got to be part of something spectacular. I've got to live the greatest moments in drag racing history. I mean, I've been part of some of the greatest they'll ever have, and had a fortunate, great crew chiefs and great teams. Won championships with 3 different crew chiefs. And with Mike Neff at the end, we were really getting stronger, so we know how to build teams. We know how to be part of something. And I've always been the one that I've always recognized that it could always be your last win. Enjoy every one of them. Take photos like it's the last chance to ever get and play the game like it's the last time you're going to get to play it. It makes it rewarding, and it makes it a lot of fun.
That is incredible. Tony, I'm so happy that you are back. I'm happy that NHRA drag racing is coming back. I'm glad you've got the opportunity with Steve and Samantha, because they are wonderful people. I just hope that more people get to know their personality, and you can, maybe deliver a Wally. That would be a great story. Thank you for making the time. Thank you for coming on WFO Radio. If memory serves me right, I think Tony Schumacher was on our very first WFO Radio podcast after the XM days, and now you are coming back. Just thank you for your constant and consistent support of what we're doing. This is a live stream show, very different than what we did in the past over the phone line, but this is pretty cool as well. I really appreciate you. I'm excited to see you back, and I wish you good luck.
Sounds great. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Look forward to it.
Thank you very much, Tony. Tony Schumacher with us here on WFO Radio. And the guy has been so good for our sport. He has genuinely legions of fans who have been asking me whenever they see me, and certainly on the show, where's Tony? When's Tony coming back? What's the story with Tony? Et cetera, and so on. I am happy that he has been able to, get this deal. And I believe the 2-race deal can lead to something else. People need to see him out there, and I think he could get a win. I think he could genuinely get a win on these 2 races. Simple as that. All right, our next guest coming seconds from now, it's going to be Jackie Fricke. Jackie picking up a win out there in Epping, New Hampshire. I do want to remind everybody, though, a couple of things. First of all, I would love to send you some free WFO Radio stickers, just like this, the kind you're seeing on race cars all across the country. Castello Media /WFO stickers, P.O. Box 848-353, Pembroke Pines, Florida, 33084. And people are like so nice. They send these wonderful little communications. You don't have to do that. You can just greedily fill out the self-addressed stamp envelope, and I'll fill it out. We also have these WFO masks, which, as you see, mask wearing is becoming more and more important, like vital, if we're going to keep this thing going. It is great stuff. Also, the bad news that I didn't want to just buzzkill the show with the bad news, but you heard Tony and I talk about it. The NHRA Northwest Nationals have been canceled. The local rules and regulations up there, due to the COVID-19 scenario, they're just not going to be able to get to stage 4. They had planned to do it. They're not going to be able to do it. The story is on NHRA.com. You can go read it. You can go see it. Like Tony said, maybe we'll add one. Who knows? The NHRA has got like a million different flow charts of plans, and what if, then what do we do in this case? Here's how we handle it, et cetera, and so on. This is why, if you've been watching these shows, I'm not that invested in the schedule. I'm eager to just lay it all plan out. I'm not going to get too excited about any one thing, because we don't know what's going to happen. And in certain states, certain numbers are going up, and in other states, certain numbers are going down, and we just don't know. What we do know is that Indianapolis, Indiana, are going to have 2 races back-to-back in a couple of weeks. Great stuff. Time for our next guest out there. Let's see. Let's check quick comments out there. Let's see. Sam is out there. Monica out there. Just making sure everybody is getting their comment in. And that's good. Now it's time for our next guest, Miss Jackie Fricke, who won out there in Top Alcohol Dragster in Epping, New Hampshire, making that 3 final rounds and a win at the start of the season. Got the Wallies in the background. That's quite the collection, Jackie. Welcome back. How are you?
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
So another 3 finals at the start of the season. I always joke with, who's the most frustrated about this deal? And when you've got a great car, a new car, you debuted it last year, it's clearly great. You're making the final round every time out. You won most recently. It's got to be very aggravating and annoying to not be able to just, take on the regular schedule and just go race it.
Anybody who knows me knows that I would race every day of the week if they'd let me. And you mentioned the Wallies in the background. I borrowed the boss's office for this today. So I'm in John Finke's office at Finke Equipment. He's got a beautiful office here. And we have really John always puts a lot into our race team, but we've put a ton of time in over the winter. And I think I was most excited for this race season more than any other because I felt like we had a really good car and we had the new car that, I love driving. And when it stopped in Gainesville, and like you said, we'd been to the first two finals, and I was like, no, this is not this year. So we had to wait a bunch, but it actually worked out, I think, pretty good for us because John dedicated some more time to some research. And we went testing 3 weeks ago. And on a 130-degree racetrack in Virginia, we were able to go 5:17. So obviously he did his homework and has got the car working really well.
And everybody knows John is a great guy, except for the cowboy fan thing, but we'll let that slide.
There's actually a cowboy helmet in the background. And I said, oh, no, what if people see the cowboy helmet?
Yes. And I'm assuming so, but who are you? You're an Eagles fan from what I understand. And so that's got to be hard. How do you get along? That's got to be very offensive to you.
He doesn't have very many faults, but that's one of them.
All right. Well, we hope the NFL can get back as well. You just heard Tony Schumacher. We talked about Seattle. We're on, we're off. But whoever wins this championship, there will be an asterisk, but it won't be an asterisk that it means less. I think it'll be an asterisk that means more because this is such a challenging situation to everybody. It was just a couple of years ago, you got your first win and then you knocked down a couple of wins and now that championship is out there and you've got an incredible start. So where's your head at on how to, navigate the whole deal with your eyes on the prize? That is the Lucas Oil Top Alcohol World Championship.
We kind of, we're still in a bit of test mode. So we went to Epping. We tested all day Thursday, never got down the track once. So John and I kind of said, all right, well, let's go back to, what we did in Virginia. And then we realized we weren't at Virginia any longer. So it took us until the fifth pass to even get down the track. It was a really tricky track. We were the only ones to get down the track first round to make a full pull. And you didn't want to push it too far because plenty of people were smoking the tires. So it was, John made a lot of great calls over the course of the race. And as far as my head goes, he keeps like a really calm over our team. We have a no yelling rule in our pits and everything is very, we're out to have a good time. And he keeps that theme kind of among the whole team, everything's even after we had not got down the track and going into the last qualifier, everybody was still in a good mood. Nobody was grumpy. It's a really fun place to be in our pits. I'm really grateful.
And the conversations that I've had with people who are successful, once you know what you're doing, it's about the chemistry and the atmosphere and the attitude. And I think they're related. If you can have a good time, I don't know how the no yelling rule is enforced. That's got to be a challenge. But if it just doesn't happen and you can get along and trust each other and work on the car and do your thing, it seems that's when the best come out of people. I have seen you guys have success. I know, walk us through your race day up there in Epping. I'm sure the fans were pretty thrilled. We talked to Alan earlier this week. I guess you ran Dwayne in the final. But just, what was it like being able to be back? And what people don't realize, I know you had run a couple of races, but for those Northeastern racers, Division I racers, and let's say Super Street or Super Gas, that was the first time they got to race since last year, a couple of months in, like September or something, the final Division I race up there. So it had been a long time since there was drag racing. So what was it like?
It was great. Everybody was just so happy to be back and everybody had a really good attitude. My husband hadn't raced since, like you said, Virginia of last year. He was actually also able to get to the final in Super Comp. And everybody was just very, everybody wanted to follow the rules and do as everybody said, because we all just want to continue racing. It was so nice to see our racing family, like you said, the Northeast opener, and people I hadn't seen in so long. And then the fans, that was really nice. I love the kids, and there were a couple cute kids over race day that always make it enjoyable. So just everybody was happy to be back.
So you did just reveal something, and it slipped past me that you said Sean made the final round also?
Yes.
Okay.
In Super Count. Yep.
Have which you're speaking so positively about it, which is great. But have you guys ever doubled up, like both won?
We have at 2 other races.
That is awesome. So, okay, it wasn't
not
like
a national event. That's a goal. Sean's never been there when I've won a national event. So 4 times, and he struck out on all 4 of them.
Yeah, but at least he's getting there, right? Like there's so many people who can't even make it to the final round. This guy's knocking on the door all the time. But that had to be a busy day out there. He's up there in Super Comp doing his own thing. And to me, that just illustrates, here we are talking to Tony Schumacher. I'm sure there's a lot of fans of Tony in his Army days. They're watching you, thinking about the levels and layers of drag racing, the families that are just kind of into this, and this is what they do. You guys are a perfect example of a drag racing family. This is your thing.
It really is. I mean, both of my nieces were racing. Normally, my brother-in-law and my nephews are racing at these divisionals. So actually, Sean Bellemere was teasing me on Saturday about not taking my fire suit off. I said, I've watched 8 runs in between these rounds here. I said, I don't have time to take my fire suit off. And John's really, he understands that obviously, I mean, my sister's on our team and she's going to run. My niece made it to the semis and juniors. So, it's really a family aspect. And that helps me in the respect that, all the pressure's just not on me. I set Sean's delay box, and, it's all of us are, kind of together. And actually, Sean made it to the final on Sunday. Tori made it to the semis on Saturday. So we were kind of different days, but
busy weekend.
Very busy.
And that's what it's all about. Just staying busy, keep that pressure off. All right. So for the remainder of the year, all the schedules are in flux. Like even if they're on paper, they're still in flux. But what we have learned, and I'm in southeastern Florida, and we've got listeners from all around the world, that the Northeast was a very challenged place with the COVID-19. I've got some personal friends, a lot of family still up there, that they lost a lot of people. Like this was a brutal situation. And I don't think that people who are not from the Northeast or not living there can really understand the difference in the way that you guys had to act the closer you were to New York City, which the population density is what it was all about. So what was it like for you guys in that, there are people who still, they don't even want to put on a mask, and I get it, but up there, you guys were dealing with a totally different level of intensity. What was that like?
Completely, really intense. I only live 45 minutes outside of New York City, so our restaurants aren't even open yet. You can't even go and sit in a restaurant. So we're kind of behind the curve, but it's nice because our numbers are still decreasing every day, which is nice, but it's still fairly, prevalent up here. And obviously New York City was the hardest hit. Think Equipment, John's company, was an essential company all throughout this. So they're kind of upstate New York. They've stayed busy and working this entire time. But where we were, it was really, if you went outside your house, you were kind of frowned upon.
Wow. Well, I understand it. I watch all the footage from Italy early on. It's March. Like it's kind of hard to think back to those days, and they were showing what was happening in Italy, and the hospitals were overwhelmed, and everyone was just stuck inside, and they were saluting the healthcare workers by beating pots and pans on their balconies, like that craziness. I have a friend, like 4 of his family members got it, and they were ventilated. Like we know about Jock, of course, and Todd Smith and everybody in our NHRA community, but being in the epicenter up there in New York and New Jersey, tri-state area, can't even imagine. So schedule wise, what do you have planned for your next one? And explain to our listeners out there how we've shortened the season, in that fewer opportunities, fewer races, fewer opportunities because everything's condensed. But given the way you've started, that's putting you in a strong spot.
It puts us in a strong spot, but realistically, we haven't run a national event yet. So we haven't, got on the national event stage where Randy's 2 cars are, and the McPhillips boys struggled a little bit last weekend. They smoked the tires first round, and him and Dwayne actually had a pedal fest, which is my favorite kind of race to watch, not to be in. And, like I said, I was fortunate enough that John gave me a car that went down the track all 3 times. And the only thing I had to do was hit the tree right. And so that was good. We're trying to be a little bit strategic, the races that we pick. But at the same token, we had Seattle on our schedule, and obviously that's no longer there. So our schedule, John and I kind of decided after testing in Virginia that we'd go to Epping and Lebanon Valley and see kind of where the points fell there. You have to have 2 divisional wins in your first 5 to have a chance at the World Championship. We're fortunate enough to have 1. Unfortunately, we have 2 other runner-ups, and for regional points, that's great. For national points, we definitely need another win. So we believe we have a fast car that can compete now. John spares no expense, time. He gives us the best equipment to work with, and John Osherman, who's full-time, just works really hard. He's already set up at Lebanon Valley. We're going to go there this weekend. We have some new things we want to try performance-wise. And we definitely are committed to this year. I say more than any year in the past, John has really committed himself to trying some different things. And so far, they've really paid off. We were really proud of that 517 on 130-degree track temp. And 3,200 feet in Virginia. Tyler at Virginia Motorsports Park just does an amazing job. And, we were proud of that because all of our hard work from over the winter paid off.
Well, the teens, anytime you jump down into the teens, that is a big deal. We were speaking with Megan earlier this year about, the long-standing record, Bill Reichert's record, and how everybody's knocking at the door. And would it be a good thing to break the record? And she said no, because when that record, you agree, right?
No, I was so happy to see Joey go 512 last year because I said congratulations. He goes, "You're just happy I took the heat off of UA fuel cars for a little while." I said, "Yep."
Right. Now that's a thing. Like for those that don't follow the Lucas Oil alcohol ranks, and they should. The 2 different combinations, the injected nitro cars like you drive, like Megan drives, Joey Severance blown alcohol cars, the high winding, swap and feed, all that. You guys are pretty equal, I would say. Weather conditions and environment have something to do with it. But we know that if any one combination gets an advantage, NHRA is going to pull that back. And so at very least, you guys are in the neighborhood.
It is. I think I'm very friendly with Sean and Joey both. I actually was talking to Sean about seeing when he'll be able to get in the country the other day. And, he's stuck in Canada right now. They can't cross the borders. And I said, well, we miss you at the racetrack, but I don't miss you kicking our butts. But, so that's kind of obviously a disadvantage for him. Joey went to Denver last week, and it's probably the first time in 10 years he hasn't been in the final there. They're such a talented team. But there is quite a bit of parity. Unfortunately, they have to go through a lot more parts to go 512 than we do, but we have to go through nitro at $1,500 a drum. So, there's definitely a trade-off, but Tom Fox earlier in the year went 519. We had to run Tom Fox this first round in Epping, and definitely not a blower car we'd take lightly. There's a handful of blower cars out there that really run fast.
I love that there's different combinations. I like that. And just like you said, that you got to spend money and fuel. It's expensive. We got to get it imported. Whereas their starting line procedure, etc. And one thing I think we're all still looking forward to is the 4-wide race later on this year that is still on the schedule. Is that one that you're planning on going to?
Although I'm a bracket racer, I haven't convinced my boss that I'm focused enough to go there yet. So as of right now, and it's our NGK race, which we're fortunate enough to be partners with NGK. So I'm still working on that one. And as it gets closer, usually I try to make deals like, hey, if we do good here, could we do this? So it's a no on our schedule right now, but I'm hoping to change that.
Aren't you the defending pit decoration contest winner? Don't you have to be there? Like, I think you're obligated to be there because you won the pit decoration contest last year.
We took the Pimp My Pit contest very seriously, and we would love to defend our territory there.
Yeah, it's not an option. You have to show up. There's an obligation. Layla would be mad. Like, everybody, I think you have no choice. So tell John, sorry, but like, we're obligated. We gotta go. We gotta go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I like it. Jackie, I appreciate you coming on the show. Congratulations on the hot start. This is great. And the idea that we're all, watching the divisions come alive, and that the Northeast Division, Division 1, was able to go out and have a successful race and let you guys, use the equipment and stretch the legs and get out in the sun and have fun. I know Reinhardt was up there too. That is great. And we just hope that we're able to keep on trucking. And even though we lose a race like Seattle, and that was on your schedule, who knows what the NHRA will be able to do, but they're going to be working the phone lines and trying to figure things out as best as they can. And we'll see. Like, we want to put it all behind us, but we enjoy what you're doing and appreciate that you guys are out there. Any final thoughts before we let you go to the listeners and viewers out there on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and everyone else?
Yeah, I would like to. We have a couple really great companies that have stood behind us for a while, and I'm really grateful for them. NGK and Lucas Oil, JE Pistons have been a longstanding supporter of ours. VP Race Fuels. Obviously, Finke Equipment is a big supporter, and I'm just grateful for my team and the people that stand behind us and allow us to do this. We're partnered up with some really, really good people, and they really help us to be able to get to the track and get to the winner's circle.
That's great. So what happens when the Eagles play the Cowboys? Do you guys have like a watch party, or do you stay away from each other?
We went to the game. So in Dallas last year, the Eagles were playing Dallas, and we went to the game, and there's a picture of us. I'm obviously in all of my Eagles garb, and he is in his Cowgirls garb.
Yes.
And there's a funny picture of us with our fists to each other, similar to when we ran in the final. We were fortunate enough to run each other in the final at Lebanon Valley. So we always bet money on it. And unfortunately, that game, we got killed.
Yeah.
So, but later in the year, I won my money back from him. So we were even for last year's bet.
You won the Super Bowl more recently than
definitely.
That's all that matters, really, is that you won the Super Bowl more recently. And so there you go. Jackie, thank you very much for coming on WFO Radio.
Thanks for having me.
You were one of our earliest happy hour guests. Like, tomorrow we're doing happy hour with Kenny Youngblood, the world-renowned automotive artist, and he is going to be on. And like, we got to that point because you subjected to it. We had cocktails early on. It's on Facebook. It's still there. People can go back and find Jackie. We were drinking. It was fun. We had a great time. Thank you for doing that as well.
That was a blast. I enjoy coming on your show every time I get the opportunity, especially when it's because of a win.
Yeah.
Or to have a cocktail.
Either or both in the future as well. Jackie, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
There she goes. Jackie Fricke with us here on WFO Radio. And she is fantastic and loves the sport. And that's it. Like, who doesn't love this sport? But there's different kinds of loves. I watched Ford versus Ferrari again the other day. And you know how when you watch a movie, the first time you kind of just watch it, but maybe don't absorb it. And I'm the kind of guy who likes scenes and to know scenes. And, Matt Damon, Carroll Shelby gives a speech. And in the speech, he talks about, a lot of people, do something that they love, but for a living. But there are some people that find something that they absolutely have to do, They have to do it. And I feel like Jackie is one of those people that she has to do this. And John Finke Equipment, not some sort of national chain, by the way. They're just a big business. I went to the website. I was looking around. Kind of cool. Really appreciate the investment in the sport. And John's been helpful and other teams as well. Really appreciate them coming on the show. And all you listeners out there in the WFO universe. Now, the news of the day, it is unfortunate, like this is a good news, bad news universe, and that the Northwest, the Flavor Pack, Northwest Nationals out there, Pacific Raceways, has been canceled. That story's on NHRA.com. I encourage you to go read it and check it out. And what is it? It's a bummer, right? It's a bummer. But if you're following the news, like I can tell you that if you follow, I'm not going to tell you where or how, but if you follow the aggregate, you see that there are some places that are going up and some places that are going down, and it all depends. And I can tell you in the state of Florida that both of our senators came out and kind of scolded the people today, yesterday maybe, because a lot of people are just not wearing the masks. They're just not, that's over. We're going to the beach. And that's, it's unfortunately not the deal. Here at WFO, we do have these WFO masks, and I am able to wear them. And for the people who have reached out to me and said, hey, can I have a mask? I've sent them a mask. So we also give away WFO radio stickers. P.O. Box 848-353, Pembroke Pines, Florida, 33084. If you send the appropriate postage, I will load it up with stickers. Tomorrow, I mentioned Kenny Youngblood, and I'm just super excited about this. The Black Magic car. Kenny doesn't, we're going to try to have some special guests on, guest or two, but really we're going to look at the designs. We're going to talk about the designs. We're going to talk about the early days of drag racing, West Coast kid, super talented, and able to ascend to the highest levels. When you think about ZZ Top and the Eliminator album, the Coupe, the Eliminator, that's the name of it. That's Kenny Youngblood design. And so many amazing designs that have come out of this person's mind. We encourage you to be here 4 p.m. tomorrow to enjoy that. We're going to speak with Kenny and some friends of Kenny. We're going to have beverages, of course, and we want you to be involved and be on here as best. Like Diane says she wants a mask. She wants to wear a mask. Send me an email, Diane, joe@wforadio.com. Marty Thacker, one of the blown cars, crazy, like wild man driver. Such great respect for Marty, because when that thing yanks the tires, carries him about 3 feet up there, he stays on the pedal and holds it down and goes straight, and it's pretty wild. Monica, who also received some WFO masks a few weeks ago. Damn, no Seattle. Hopefully next year. Good show, Joe, says Eric. Yeah, damn, exactly. I don't know what to say other than that. It's a bummer, man. It's a bummer. This whole thing has been a bummer. There's no other way to say it. It's been a bummer. Downer. And we as drag racing fans, we have little control. And we're people who want to have control, and you know that. It's just unfortunate. But it is what it is, and we're going to keep on going and doing the best that we can and trying to, show up at the tracks. Now, Indianapolis, someone asked, where is the next race? July, Indianapolis, back-to-back weeks. Go to NHRA.com. The NHRA Mello Yello Series is going to be back with limited capacity. So if you want to go to the race, you got to reach out. People who have got tickets already for the U.S. Nationals and NHRA members are going to be first on there. But you're going to see Tony Schumacher back on the track for the first time in a long time. That's good enough reason to show up all by itself. I also want to say credit to Antron Brown. The guy's got a heart of gold. We know this. It shows up over and over again. But you could imagine that Antron maybe would think the thought, man, global, Tony, how would that affect me? Like, you can think that someone would think that thought. And Antron was the first guy there with it. And Brad Mason and Brian Karate and Mark Oswald, they're going to be tuning for Tony. I want to call him the Sarge, it's a Tony with global. So that's going to be great. It's going to be a great story, and I'm excited. Jalen wants to know when the next time I'm going to go racing. I haven't had a race. And in South Florida, it's like 5,000 degrees, like racing on the surface of the sun. It's so hot. So when they open the gates again and I'm available, I'm definitely going to try to go racing. Thank you, Jalen, for saying that. Another Eagles fan, by the way, all you Eagles fans. I'm a Dolphin fan, but as the Northeast goes, I'm with the G-Men. Go Big Blue. All right, everybody, that's going to do it. Thank you to everyone out there. Big thanks to our sponsors talking about Marvin Rodak, RodaksCoffeeandGrills.com, makes a special blend for Tony. You can actually get that blend from Marvin. Why would you not want to do that? Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology, TotalSeal.com. Got a new hidden horsepower coming out next week. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, FrankHawley.com, and Samtech.edu. Remember, go to NitroFishRacing.com, get a t-shirt, 20% off, WFO 20, and be ready to rock and roll. YouTube, click the bell, Apple Podcasts, and you can follow me. All right, everybody, we'll see you tomorrow. Kenny Youngblood, happy hour. Thank you so much. We'll see you then.